We're going to do a quick overview on how display advertising works. So, display advertising uses banner ads to put a message in front of a user across millions and millions of different websites online. And there's a few different ways that people can target online web traffic, and that's going to be by their characteristics. So, their online behavior, what sites have they visited, what have they shown interest in, basically everything you do online, and anything that you do in your everyday life, from what you purchase with a credit card to the physical locations that you visit, to the web browser behavior that the content that you consume, the news articles that you read, the different pieces of content on YouTube that you consume, what you like, what you dislike on Facebook and Instagram. Basically, any website that can gather data, user data, sells it to advertisers. And it's not personal data. It's not like, oh, we know this guy's first and last name and his address. It's hashed behavioral user data that goes into a system that's evaluated 100 different ways. There's 1,000 different companies out there that vet data and then resell it on the marketplace. And that data is then paired with actual ad unit inventory on websites. So I'm just using a couple here, like CNN.com. eBay is a pretty big website that has a lot of different ad units in it. As you can see, here's an ad unit for Chase. Apparently, I've been targeted by the finance sector right now for a couple of different things. And depending on, it doesn't matter really what it is that you search for. I just clicked around on eBay just to find an ad unit. These different ad units will appear. So there's that ad unit there. That was a 160 by 600. That's the size of the ad, 160 pixels wide by 600 pixels tall. This is a 300 by 250 ad unit here. And as you browse online, no doubt you've seen them as you go through. Again, here's another one on Fox News, 720 by 90, and then a 300 by 600 here. And these different ads are targeted to people on a number of different ways. There's no set one way. You're not going to be able to figure out how is it that I got this ad. The most common way people realize they're being targeted with ads is if they're retargeted with ads. So let's say you visited this university's website recently, and then you jump on Fox News to see the news and see what's going on, and these ads pop up. You've just been retargeted. And that's just a way for a brand to keep an ad in front of you. That's a really basic way of targeting somebody, is just simply putting a piece of code on your website that tags the users, the visitors to your website's browsers, and then reserves your ads to them. The other ways are going to be using, again, like third-party data, and that's going to be targeting people based on like interests and characteristics and locations visited and things like that. So Chase Bank could say, look, we want to target people who are in this credit score range, who have shown an interest in credit cards recently, who've maybe opened a bank account in the last 6 months. There's a 1,000 different ways they can target you, and we want to serve ads to those people. Then as you go around the web, you will see ads from Chase Bank. Same thing for websites like this, like Angie's List. Now, maybe not necessarily a website where there's any advertising units on it, any banner ads on it, but what you search for on this website is certainly tracked and then sold. We know, if I start searching for, plumbers and handymen and electrical services or landscaping and stuff like that, I've demonstrated an interest in those services. I'm going to be eventually categorized and put into a bucket of people that are interested in those services. And then a plumber or handyman could come along and say, I want to target people with an interest in home improvement. Let's say, target people with an interest in home improvement. I want to serve them these ads, again, as I go on, different news websites or just different websites, any website that offers an ad unit on it, which there's just millions and millions and millions, and there's multiple different sizes of ad units. I can then receive that ad. Same thing for your search browser history. Everyone's really familiar with Google search ads. You search for something. Well, that information is also being sold for display ad purposes. So it's not just the ads that you receive after you search for something here. as I mentioned earlier, locations that you visit will put you into an audience bucket. You could, let's say you're in the market for a used car, and in the last 3 weeks you've visited 3 or 4 or 5 different used car dealerships. Your phone is tracking your location, whether you think it is or not, whether you've turned location services off or whatever precautions it is that you think that you've set for yourself. Your location is somehow being tracked, and if it's not by that, it could be because perhaps you purchased some items that are associated with used cars. Say maybe you started purchasing car insurance, or started having your credit pulled for a used car. There's so many different little data points that can be picked up and then used to put you in an audience to receive relevant advertising. And that's really the end game of everything. That's the number one thing everyone's trying to accomplish, is to serve the most relevant advertisement to consumers, with the idea being that, again, you visited 3 or 4 used car dealerships in the last couple of weeks. If I'm a used car dealer, I want to serve ads to people who are in the market to purchase a car. That would be a great audience to target. I want to make sure that you see the deals that I have going on, the inventory that I have, and I'm going to serve you an ad based on your real-world location habits, or based on the fact that you've been approved for a credit check for a used car, or the fact that you've perhaps started looking for insurance, for price checking insurance for a possible used car purchase. There's just so many different ways, so many different angles based on what it is the consumer is doing, that they can be categorized into an audience and then targeted with a banner ad on a million different websites. And don't think it's just news websites and some of these bigger websites that you've heard of. There are websites you've never heard of, never been to in a million years, and never will go to, that serve these banner ad units. And one of the best things about targeting people based on data is it doesn't matter if you're not specifically buying CNN.com, you're not specifically buying Fox News or eBay or any website at all. You're buying that audience. So wherever they go, if they land on a website that's selling inventory into the ad exchanges, which again, there's going to be just countless millions of them, your ad can be served to them. So we're no longer concerned with the type of content a user is consuming. Back in the old days, you would buy specific TV shows. Well, if, females 35 to 64 tend to like reality TV, let's say. That would be the study they did. They send out surveys, or they do personal people meters. They do ratings and things like that, and they try and figure out a really large audience on who likes what TV show, who reads what publications. None of that and then you buy the audience based on that. And in reality, that's kind of like throwing all your money against the wall and seeing what sticks. It's not the most effective way of spending your ad dollars. The most effective way would be targeting people individually based on their user behaviors. Again, another thing could be, let's say you've been researching different degrees that you want to pursue. Which is the best university for me to get a marine biology degree? If I look at enough of these different websites, eventually I'm going to get tagged and put in a audience of people interested in higher education, people interested in marine biology. It can get pretty granular, and I'll start eventually seeing ads for different schools, perhaps similar to the university that we saw here. This may not be a marine biology school, but nevertheless, I am interested clearly in higher education. So that's just an example, a couple of different examples on how it is display advertising works. I would also mention that display advertising is a awareness tactic. It is not a conversion, not necessarily a conversion driving tactic like Google search is. So Google search is somebody is seeking out specifically used cars near me, used car dealerships, things like that. I'm pretty far along in the sales funnel. I am actively seeking out this service right now. Serving an ad to me in this moment would be a very close to the conversion that's going to take place. And by conversion, I mean the action that someone's going to take on your website after they see your ad. Now, that could be a phone call, that could be a lead form fill out, that could be a purchase if you're selling, if I can actually buy a used car on your website, or maybe I can buy, a box of chocolates if I'm seeking out, chocolate gifts delivered, and I, go ahead and hit that search there, I will receive ads for chocolate companies, and that conversion will be tracked. Display banners, excuse me, are a little bit further up in the funnel. It is a little bit more awareness. Again, it's very targeted because they have a pretty good inclination that I'm probably interested in finance or in investing or whatever it is. And again, that's based on my browser behavior, my real world location data, my current purchases, my characteristics in general. I've been placed into a bucket of people that Charles Schwab feels like they might want to reach, and it could be for a million different reasons. So it is more of like a branding tactic. Again, I'm here to consume some news content, to see what's happening in the world, and then I see this ad and I may take action on it, I may not. Most people do not take action directly on the ad. You will get clicks on the ad, and those clicks can be tracked, but again, it is not a huge conversion driving tactic, mainly because I'm here to consume news, so I may be wanting to read a story and not necessarily interested in taking action on this ad right now. However, if you think about it this way, if this was a billboard on the street, billboards don't track conversions. You can't click on a billboard. You can just drive by it. So you could argue, well, what good is that? Well, that's branding. Branding is very valuable. Having your brand out there and branding your company is a very valuable ad strategy. So imagine if you could place a billboard on a street where only people interested in Charles Schwab's case, financial services or investing, the only people that are going to drive down this street have demonstrated an interest in that. Would Charles Schwab find that to be a very valuable street to put a billboard on? Yes, they would. They absolutely would. They would do everything they could to buy every billboard on that street. So that's kind of the idea behind online display, is that like everybody that's surfing the web is on their own street, and that street is only going to be filled with advertisements that hopefully are relevant to them. So that's a pretty high-level overview of how display banners and advertising work online. If you have any questions, you can reach out. I'm always available. Email me anytime, and we'll talk soon. Thanks so much.